Hey everyone, this is the Jersey Comic Crew, and right now we are going to tell you everything you need to know before you watch Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League coming out March 18th. Come on inside.
Hey guys, Chris and Rob here from the Jersey Comic Crew, and as Chris said, this is everything you need to know about the Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut is coming in just a couple of days, so we want to talk to you guys a little bit about the behind the scenes of the movie, what to expect when you're going into this, and the history of the film universe. And the first thing we want to touch base on with you guys, in case you forgot, Zack Snyder is the director of the movies, and in the DC franchise or DC universe, however they want to frame it, he started with Man of Steel, which kind of started everything, then Batman vs. Superman, then Justice League. So those are his contributions directly. And now, to focus a little bit more on the DCU, there are other movies out there like Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman 1984 that all kind of connect, right, Chris?
Yeah, they kind of connect and kind of don't, where obviously 84 just came out, right? So that's something completely after Justice League. Justice League right now is like 3 years old, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other connections we have is really Aquaman kind of spun out of Justice League. Shazam was more separate. Suicide really didn't touch upon Justice League. We might see that now we know Jared Leto's Joker's coming in. But really, it's not the Marvel concept, everyone. So if you've seen all these movies, if you've seen a couple, some will connect. Aquaman's the biggest one that you want to pull from that. But when it comes to Snyder's actual Justice League, which we're going to see, these movies kind of are on their own besides that. And maybe Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman.
They're like very loosely connected. They don't have that strong connective tissue that Marvel does.
Yeah.
So next we want to talk about another creator who was involved in this process, Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon you might know from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, I was where he grew up. And then director of Avengers 1 and 2, right? So he took over in the Justice League. Justice League was in the middle of production. Zack Snyder had to step away for personal reasons. And he took over and kind of made sure the film got finished, right? But as many of you guys who are aware of, that left us with a lot of issues.
Totally. And the aspect of, Zack stepping away is terrible. As if you guys watch some of Rob and I's older videos on the couch, where, Rob likes a lot of these films a lot more than I do.
Oh, yeah, they're fun.
And because, Rob likes movies like candy and it's all candy. And so the aspect of Joss Whedon stepping in really changed. Now, like we know, almost 85% or even more of this movie. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, Rob, which I thought was crazy interesting, was the fact that some of the Warner Brothers executives knew that the movie that Josh kind of redid a lot of or took a lot out of or added or whatever he did wasn't good. And no one said anything, and they were just like, that was part of the problem. No one stood up and said, we can't release this shit. Like, it's terrible. Mm-hmm. And some of the higher-ups kind of released that. And one of my questions to you is, I mean, from where I'm sitting, it doesn't seem like that would happen with Kevin Feige and Marvel, right? Like, if they look at something and like, this is terrible, we can't release this.
This whole situation is very strange, and it's because Joss Whedon is involved that I find it so strange. Because Joss Whedon, we know from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and from Avengers, right? He produces good work, right?
Yeah,
and now
Buffy's really good.
Right? Like even Avengers, like you have the Avengers here, right? And now you have DC's Justice League, which arguably are better than the Avengers, right? Like you could do a lot more things. And you have this movie that is very subpar. What other effects were there? Was there like Warner Brothers execs getting their hands on it? Was it just that the script wasn't that good and he did it what he could with it? I'm not really too sure. It's very strange. I mean, we still don't know all the answers, right? Justice League, which was probably the most important pivot point for the DC universe to spring them forward. You had this movie, and now DC's still struggling to get back, right? So I'm just in shock that Joss Whedon and DC Warner Brother execs allowed that to happen. There must be some reason that we don't know yet.
Yeah, and there's a lot we don't know, and you touched upon it too, with the fact that, the Ray Fisher situation happened, and that's something we still don't even really know about, where Ray Fisher has gone on, his social media accounts and has, put this kind of hashtag accountability responsibility tag that he's made trend, and people have stood by him, but he hasn't really come out and said what happened to him. We can only assume, right? Is it something racial in orientation? Is it something sexual that happened to him? We don't know, and he hasn't fully said it. I don't know if he has an NDA that's disclosing that.
I've heard a lot of rumors that have been circulating that the filming of Justice League, especially under Joss Whedon's control, was very negative towards the actors and people that worked on the set. And then, of course, with all this, you have actors and people who are involved screaming, hollering for the Snyder Cut, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to, and I'm not just saying like fans, right? Because fans are crazy. Aquaman, like Jason Momoa was a big proponent of like, release the Snyder Cut. Trust me, you will like what you see. Do it. Mm-hmm. So I think what it came down to, Chris, believe it or not, and correct me if you think I'm wrong, I think it was a creative decision by the Warner Brothers execs. Like, I think the Snyderverse was going to take DC in this dark, more gritty, grounded route, essentially. Maybe a little bit weird, because it is, right? And the DC execs say, hey, we want to be like Marvel. Let's make it a little bit more fun and brighten up the colors and stuff like that. We don't care that this movie might be better on paper. Our branding of what we want to do at the end is more important. And then we'll just fix the ship after this shitty movie, and we'll just release Shazam and Aquaman and all these other movies to show the lighthearted DC and steer the ship into that direction instead of the direction, I guess, that we're going in now. I still don't know what's happening.
I feel this is the coup de grace, right? Like, to me, Snyder's Cut being released is, all right, this is the end of his tenure of control over these movies. I still don't know why DC kind of gave Zack Snyder this entire free reign for this universe when, like, if you look at his movie slate, it's very dark. It's very, 300, Watchmen, and a lot of these executives like Zack Snyder, and they have a personal relationship. That's great. That's how you build stuff in Hollywood. But Zack, to me, was never the right choice or the main choice for this entire franchise. He wasn't a Kevin Feige or a Russo brothers in that era, because if you look at just the guy's film history, it's a completely different feel. And as far as getting the Snyder Cut release, a lot of fans feel very connected to it, right? And that's great. If you really wanted Zack Snyder's cut, clearly his own actors did, right? Like Rob just said, Momoa was campaigning for it, Gal Gadot was campaigning for it,
Fisher was campaigning for it,
Henry Cavill wanted to see himself without the digitalized like face. That aspect is totally great, but you also have to be realistic. This is a fantastic situation for Warner Brothers and HBO Max. They have a streaming service that is fairly new, that is upgraded from HBO to allow all these properties. They poured another $30 to $40 million into this movie to get it finished. And on top of it, right, like, they're people who are going to be purchasing an HBO Max subscription, which is how money's dealt with in TV right now.
Yep.
That is the way to do it, right? Release something that fans have been wanting, but it's a win-win situation because the fans feel a part of it and they quote unquote get what they want. So I think it's a great business decision where it's like a kind of a middle finger to the other streaming networks.
Exactly.
And also I do also think on the non-business kind of cold side of it, I think it's really good for Zack, right? He left that movie in a terrible situation where his daughter committed suicide.
Yeah.
That is not a lighthearted thing. That's a serious thing, especially for these guys to be pulled away, right? Like, actors, directors are pulled away from families for months, especially the back end directors and the editing teams, years at a time.
Yeah.
Right. If you see any of these behind the scenes things, even Game of Thrones, where they're on site and they're gone from their families for like half a year, that's serious stuff. Right. So he was pulled off of this movie due to that. And to allow him to finish that, like, this movie where he's like basically undertone saying, this guy butchered my film and it isn't what I was trying to portray, I think that is a really good thing.
Before we move on to our next point, I want to highlight one thing you said, how good this is for WB, right? It's a win-win. Aside, like, all right, you're giving the fans what they want, right? And if the movie's terrible or whatever, it's the course, it goes as usual. It's like, hey, it wasn't great. It's fine. Keep going. But if the movie's fantastic and people want this, DC's like, cool, we can steer into this and just keep rocking forward. Like, it's a win-win, which is awesome. Last point we want to talk about, guys, is what we want to see / what we expect to see in this movie. So I know that we're gonna get Darkseid, right? That's something that you need to know. Like, if you haven't watched anything, you know we're gonna get Darkseid, the father of all this. Like, essentially, DC's Thanos.
Darkseid was first.
I know Darkseid was first, but who's more popular right now, right?
Darkseid was first.
Exactly. So, like, we don't have to worry about Steppenwolf, which you might not want. We're gonna see a new version of him. He's gonna look cooler, which is great. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we're gonna get Darkseid in this universe, and we're gonna start building out that world of Apocalypse, and that threat is gonna be there. We're gonna get that dopamine in your mind, like, oh my god, I saw Darkseid. I'm so excited. Like, I can't wait. We're gonna get more scenes with Flash and Cyborg, which is gonna be great. I want to see that. We're gonna get Black Suit Superman, which is something we want and something we want to see. What do I expect to see overall? Like, I just expect to see a fuller movie, right? This movie's 4 hours, and I don't want it to just be like TV episodes, right? Like, when you're watching Justice League 1, you could tell it was missing something, right? It was
a lot of something,
right?
A lot of something.
I think we're going to see a nice full movie. I'm excited. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I think it's going to do so well that we're going to steer in that direction. But Chris, what do you want / expect to see in this movie?
Yeah, so I would say I'll do want first.
Yeah, what do you want?
I really want to see this nightmare scene or
with
area,
Joker in it, right?
Which apparently, even though I'm not a fan of Jared Leto's Joker, but I'm really interested to see how that kind of affects the story going forward. I've heard, rumors that it could be up to 40 minutes of the film that this nightmare scene is in.
I mean, when you're looking at 4 hours, it's not that bad, you know what I mean?
It's still a long time, though. I mean, 40 minutes is 40 minutes, but yeah, I'm very interested in this nightmare scene. I'm obviously interested in Darkseid, the voice, the feel of Darkseid, if they're doing an origin, if Steppenwolf is trying to please Darkseid. We also see Desaad and Granny Goodness in there. I want to see how they are used in the film. Those are massive characters. If you want to get some info, go watch the Justice League and Superman and Justice League Unlimited series from the 90s. Those are major characters in Darkseid's camp, which I want to see how they kind of tie in.
And we could always do a video on that for you guys if you want.
Absolutely. And also, I really want to see some of these characters that were introduced in this movie originally fleshed out. I want to see more of Flash kind of in his world with Iris West.
Yeah, we know we're going to get that. That's going to be great.
Exactly. That's going to be awesome. I want to see more of Cyborg's origin. Cyborg has one of the craziest, darkest, most heartbreaking origins of all time. To me, that is what I think Zack Snyder will do really well. He's very good at that dark stuff. I want to see the car accident, where Victor Stone is about to be this like college first ballot athlete where he's going to play football, and like his trajectory's in the NFL, and he's kind of like this cocky, like kind of douchey, gets whatever he wants high school athlete, to getting into this car accident and like losing half of his body. And I really like, for as far as I want to like it overall, right? Like, I want to feel good. I would love to see Green Lantern. I hear there's a rumor we're going to see Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter. I want to see characters that we didn't see in the original cut that maybe tie into hopefully something in the future. But I would like to see this movie be a nice end to this sort of DC universe that was really messy and really kind of all over the place. I would like it, I don't think it's going to be wrapped up in a bow. I would, however, love to see it just be decent, be a good movie, be entertaining. And I think that's possible.
Guys, we want to know what you think of the Zack Snyder Justice League cut. What do you expect to see? What do you hope to see? Comment down below. Thank you so much for watching today, guys.
And guys, thanks so much. Give us a thumbs up, really helps that channel out a lot. If you're brand new, subscribe, turn on those notifications, share the videos. You don't want to miss it. We're going to do a big reaction video after the Snyder Cut, and we're obviously going to hit those Easter eggs and breakdowns in the future as well, so you don't want to miss that. And as always, I'm Chris Heller. That is Rob Moran. We're the Jersey Comic Crew. We'll see you next time.